Hello, hello, my love. I hope this finds you doing so well. So, this week I have a really exciting guest for you. Emma Dunwoody is coming on the show to talk about human design. We had a really interesting conversation, and I'm excited to share it with you. There are a couple things that Emma and I think about in different ways, but there's a lot that we agree on, like using every tool we possibly can to reconnect and connect more deeply with our authenticity so we can be of more service in the world. And little ears alert, if you are listening with kiddos or others in the car where you don't want to hear swear words, Emma uses the S word about like 37 minutes in, way at the end of the conversation. So make your own best decision. Emma is a human design expert, master coach, behavioral specialist, and host of the leading global human design podcast. She has a book all about human design that is available all over the world and recently here in the US. And we will, of course, link to that in our show notes. And she's really fun to talk to. So I really hope you enjoy this conversation. Emma, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. Can't wait to have
Yeah.
a good convo with you.
Yeah, me too, me too. So, I think my audience is probably pretty well aware of what human design is, but I know you have a really interesting way of defining it and explaining it. So, if you could share that with us, that'd be great.
Sure. Human design is what I believe it's this energetic blueprint, right? That we have, that we're actually born with. I like to think of it as it's our original frequency. We come into the world that way. Now, human design has also kind of been popped in this bucket next to, esoteric and a bit woo woo. And one of the ways I love to think about human design is if you think about things like Myers-Briggs or Enneagram or these behavioral or personality profiling tools that really help you understand who you are. Well, human design is like that, but it's for your energetic blueprint. And in my opinion, how this differs is that we are actually born with this energetic blueprint. And then this energetic blueprint, it underlies and informs our behavior and our personality. So it informs all of those things. Um, so ultimately, what that means is we're born with this frequency. Unfortunately, we get conditioned out of this frequency. It's like our frequency gets all muddled. And then I think, as many adults probably listening to this podcast, then we spend most of our adult years trying to find our way back to our original frequency and try to answer these questions. Who am I and why am I here?
Yeah, that's completely aligned with everything we do here, which is about authenticity, intentionality, and moving through life outside of the stories that were sold to us, but
Yep.
instead really looking within. So, tell us how human design can help with that. It's so fascinating.
Well, I think ultimately there are two questions, as I've already mentioned, that I'm most obsessed with. And this is my personal journey as well as my purpose is really understanding who am I and why am I here? Who am I is talking to authenticity. And if we understand authenticity at its deepest level, what that means is we were effectively pre-programmed when we came in. There were lessons for us to learn. There were superpowers that we had. We have a very specific way that we operate in the world, a way that we make decisions. So, really, human design is here to help us get to the core of that. Because once we understand our authenticity, then we can create, a life, a business, health and well-being that is truly aligned to us. And then ultimately, the other part that I find most fascinating is our purpose. Human design again gives us this roadmap of really understanding our purpose at a deep level. And in my opinion and my experience, our purpose is actually something that can really be our, yes, our North Star in good times, in a way that this is how we serve. But it's also a really important part of understanding who we are and what our purpose is when we are faced with challenge. Because when we have something greater than us that we can, champion or do or be on a daily basis, then it really helps us on our own personal journey. And at the same time, we're serving the planet as well.
And what's more amazing than that,
I
right?
know, right? And it's that
Right.
thing. I remember a mentor saying to me once when we were learning about depression. And she said, "Look,
Mm.
honestly, depression, if you sit in a room and consider yourself for 3 weeks, you will probably come out the other end. Um, feeling a little depressed. And it's because you're too focused on you. And I think that this is the thing that, yes, a lot of us are on personal journeys, and human design really helps us see that. Like some of us have what we call a personal profile. I have a personal profile. You have a personal profile. You're a 3-6. But there's a lot of people that have transpersonal profiles. And a transpersonal profile is kind of about everyone else. And it's really about understanding, like, okay, well, if I'm learning who I am and why I'm here, um, if I'm a personal profile, I have to do that first. And then I go to the world and then I share what I've learned. If you're a transpersonal profile, you're really a lot more focused outwardly, and the world is kind of drawing you forward. And both of us need to love ourselves first. Both of us need to take care of ourselves, and both of us need to serve. But it's just it's a nuanced way in which we do that.
How interesting. Okay, so let's back it up because I got a little confused about the profiles, and I'm wondering if we could sort of do like an anatomy 101
Mhm.
of human design, what it's based in, what a chart looks like, and how we can start to use this.
Yeah, cool. So human design is relatively new. It kind of made its way to the planet in 1988. It was brought to the world. It was channeled information, like I'm sure a lot of your members know listeners know the Course in Miracles. So very similar process. Um, and it channeled through all this guy Ra Uruhu, or Alan Stevens, I believe was his actual name, a burnt out advertising executive turned spiritual leader, as you do,
Like you
and
do. Uh-huh.
exactly, and he channeled all this information over 8 days. So, what this information is, what human design is, number one, it was always intended to for the children, to really help children be born and not be conditioned, so that they can actually know from the youngest age how to love, trust, and accept themselves, and who they really are and why they're here. So, human design is a synthesis of four ancient wisdoms. So, that's Western astrology, the I Ching, which is the Chinese Book of Changes, which is also has been mapped back to our genetic codon now. So, we're starting to see where spirituality and science is really crossing over here. Um, then we have the Kabbalah tree of life and the Hindu chakra system. Now, all four of these ancient wisdoms have been mathematically mapped together to create what we call your human design chart. And your human design chart is going to show you everything from the macro to the micro. So it starts with a thing called type. So understanding our type, for example, I'm a manifesting generator, you're a generator. Um, when we understand our type, we understand our aura, our energetic field around us. Again, studies showed us that this energetic field exists. And it's how that energetic field interacts with others. So, how you make people feel and how you feel when you're around others. And it really starts to give us an indication of our energy levels, like how are we actually designed to energetically be in the world. So, for example, I'm a manifesting generator, which means I have an abundance of energy. I can work in the old school 9 to 5 role because I have the energy to consistently continue to show up. Whereas if we think about other types like manifestors, projectors, or reflectors, they don't have that consistent energy. So at a type level, you're already starting to see how you're designed to show up in the world. Obviously, there's a lot more detail there. Then we move to these two really important parts of the chart, which is our strategy and our authority. And I want you to think about this as it's like a communication loop. If our strategy is the universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and our authority is our internal guidance system. This is the communication loop that we have that helps us to make decisions that are correct for us. It puts us back in the driver's seat. And really, the voice actually said to Ra in the beginning, most of the planet will only need to know their type, their strategy, and their authority. They don't need all this other detail because if you just listen to those, if you understand those simple things, then you will ultimately get to authenticity or alignment or whatever you want to call it. because you're listening to your internal guidance system. You have stopped giving the power to someone outside of you, and you've taken that power back, and you're the authority in your own life. And then we start to break it down into so many different pieces. The next piece is, um, I did say authority, but your authority is unique to you and it's the way you make decisions. Then we have a profile, which is 2 numbers. And these are like a significant theme that you walk through life with. Or in the original knowledge, they called it the costume of your purpose. So for me, for example, I am a 3-5. You're actually a 3-6, which is interesting. So both you and I with the line 3, we are all about experimentation. So we're the kids that fell down and got back up, fell down and got back up. Like we're the
Mhm.
ones, like my bestie is always like, before she goes to buy anything new, do anything new, whatever, she always checks with me because she knows I've already done it. I've done it 1,000 times. I know what doesn't work and I know what does work. And I even had another friend of mine say, Emma, you need to
Mm.
actually just build a website for all the products or all the services that you use because you've experimented with everything. And that's the line 3. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, totally resonates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And
Huh.
and for you, like you're a line 6. So a line 6 is our role model. And these are people who you're actually playing the long game. Yes, you're going to have success before 50, but you are these people that are really like visionaries that are gathering information. You're gathering experiences, you're gathering knowledge, but what you're doing is developing wisdom over time. And after 50, you become this magnet. Like everyone wants to sit at your feet and listen to you. I often kind of feel like this is a Yoda energy, or one of the someone that you may have had on or that your audience may have heard of, Richard Rudd, who created the gene keys. He's a line 6. So he's had a lot of success. After 50, it just amplified. So our profiles kind of give us these significant themes of how we move through life. And then the deeper we go into our chart, we can understand our energy centers. We call them the centers. This is what comes from the chakra systems. Um, so what happens with that is that we have a thing called definition, or we're undefined. When we have definition, it means it's our consistent energy. It's actually how we put energy out in the world. It's how people experience us. It's who we feel we are. But a lot of us, nearly all of us, have some undefined centers. And when what happens there is we actually take in, amplify, and reflect back other people's energy. So this is a place where we're going to carry a lot of our conditioning. It's actually a place, one of the centers specifically, when it comes to wellness, it's going to be one of the places where we're taking in other people's dis-ease and we're amplifying it in our own bodies. So what's important to understand with our centers is we start to really get a handle on what is mine and what is someone else's. Because as a behavioralist and coach, one of the things that this has really helped with is so often as children, we take on our parents or our siblings' energy and then we create an identity around that. And we're like, we get to being adults. We're like, I need to heal this. I need to fix it. I need to change it. But it's not actually in you. You've just created an identity because you're reacting to the emotions, let's say, of your mother. And you think you're an emotional person. So you build an identity of an emotional person. And then you come to human design to discover that you're a non emotional person. That doesn't mean you don't have emotions. It just means that the really big ones that you feel actually aren't yours. So then you can start to really transform your identity, your mindset, your values, your everything that runs your subconscious mind to be in alignment with your energetic blueprint. And this is the thing that really excites me the most when we bring this crazy, amazing, powerful supercomputer between our ears back into the passenger seat. So then we're being led by heart, we're being led by soul. But then we have this powerful thing between our ears that, reaches way out into the collective consciousness that actually can find all the answers, can create all the strategies, can do all the things that we need to make these manifest. And then we can go even deeper into the real specifics. We can look at things like and this is integrating some of the gene keys as well. But we can look at things like a thing that we call in human design the incarnation cross. So this is very related to your purpose. We can look at the things that drive you, that motivate you. We can look at environment. We can look at your core talent. We can look at the way you are in relationships. I mean, you name it. we can go super deep. There's so much. I mean, I think it's over 2 billion expressions of the human design chart. So it's very specific to each individual.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a little blown away by that. That's a really intense, complex system.
It is, right? And to think that those 4 ancient wisdoms with their extensive depth were
Yeah.
somehow mapped together over 8 days. Like, that is not done by a human brain. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's something greater than us.
That's amazing. And how are you using all this brilliant wisdom in your own life, in your business?
Well, for me personally, human design really changed my life. At 28, I was actually diagnosed with depression and panic disorder, and I was given a diagnosis. And I'm just about to turn 50, so it was a while ago.
Mhm.
Um, I was given a diagnosis that I would never heal from these things, but I would learn how to manage
Mm,
them. And in that moment, I was like, no, like, and gratefully, I don't know where it came from, but it was my heart, it was my soul that was like, no, we can fix this. If I could just work out how I got myself into this chair, I know I could work out how to get out of it. And that kind of sparked this really long journey of understanding the brain, behavior, basically being human. I went down neuroscience, psychology, really understanding human behavior. You name it, I did it. And I completely transformed my life. I healed my mental health. Um, and so much changed for me. I moved from an advertising career into becoming a master coach, created my own business. But then in 2018, I woke up one January and I was kind of like, is this it? Because I feel like there's still something missing. Like, I've healed my
mm,
mental health. Got these 2 amazing children. We're living in Sydney. I've got this business that I love. I'm doing the work I know I'm meant to do, but I still felt there was something missing.
mm.
And at that time, I actually was, you know, quite incredibly um, reached out to by the Camino. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Camino de
Mhm.
Santiago, but it's a
Yeah, yeah, of
pilgrimage.
course.
And so I went on this pilgrimage with the intention to really find my purpose. And by the end of this pilgrimage, I had learnt so much about myself. And I was like, come on, universe, I still feel like there's something missing. There's a tiny little thing. And you need to, like, be so obvious with me, like, hit me over the head with it. So when I got home, within the 48 hours after I got home, human design just kept popping in. And back then, no
Hmm.
one knew about it. No one was talking about it. I had massive resistance to it because I was completely down, the behavior, neuroscience, research, all of that. And I'm like, that's a little bit too woo woo. But
Right.
but I did promise that if the universe had brought it to me, then I would go and experiment with it. So ultimately, within that 48 hours, by serendipity, I met the leading human design person in Australia. She lived 10 minutes away from me. We caught up. She read my chart. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you know me and you don't know me.
Wow.
Um, so that was the beginning of it, and I integrated it into my corporate business. I started talking to my CEOs about it, and then it just, I am now in service to the work that I do. I don't feel like I have
Mm,
to go out and find it or force it or build it or create it. I use human design every single day as a parent, in my business, for my health and well-being, for my healing journey. Like, right now I'm healing. I separated from my husband
mm.
a year and a half ago, and we were together for 25 years, and my human design has been fundamental in my healing journey because I know where to look for my shadows, my pain, my challenges. I know where to look, and then I can see the potential that I can grow into. So you can use it everywhere.
That's quite the phenomenal story.
Mhm.
I'm still struck with that serendipity and how incredible it is when the universe sort of hands you the
Yeah.
next step on a, silver platter.
Yeah. Well, I think one of my greatest lessons, it's funny, it's been a really big thing in relationship learning, but it's shifting from, we have these two energies, right? We have our creation energy. I'm brilliant at creation energy. It's the doing, it's the putting it out there. I'm a Piscean, like, I can imagine such beautiful things, right?
Yeah.
But the
Mhm.
thing that we don't practice as much is our receiving energy. And our receiving energy is meditation, it's stillness, it's all of those things. And I feel like this has actually been a really big journey for me with human design. Is it's really helped me learn to receive, from the beginning of actually reading my chart to being in resistance, like, really, is that in me? Or, oh, I don't want that, to actually being in a place where every time I would read something new or I'd learn something new, I could just be open to receiving whatever that was. I didn't need it to be true or right or wrong. I could just receive it. So I feel like this is something that all of us need to practice, because we it's kind of like, we know the creation, the masculine, but the feminine, the receivership, we do tend to need to build that muscle.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a big thing I work with my clients is learning how I would go neuroscience and talk about the nervous system, and I would really love if you could give some practical steps, some help around receiving because it's such a struggle for so many of us.
Yeah, it is a struggle, and it's because we have been taught not to receive. Especially as women, we are programmed from a very, very young age to go out and take care of others and to give everything to others and all of those things. So that's creation energy, creation, creation, creation. It's doing. And to be honest, it's actually more masculine. Like, yes, when we go in the way we give, it's feminine for sure, because we nurture, we care, we have compassion, we have these very feminine traits. However, this constant doing energy, that is masculine. Doing is energy. Doing is masculine. Being is feminine. So one of the ways that we can actually really practice receiving, and I actually got this from Kathy Heller, who I had on my podcast. She's amazing, and she is, she's studied, I think, every religion. She's looked at all the neuroscience, how it all maps. It's fascinating. But she talks a lot about receivership. And it's really as simple as, one of the first exercises she kind of takes a person through is just quietening down, close your eyes, sit in some space, sit in a quiet space where you be uninterrupted, and then just imagine yourself receiving. And it might be money. You might start with money, but for your listeners, actually, it might be, let's say, wellness. So imagine
Mm,
yourself receiving healing for something small, for a cold, and you sit there and you in the meditation, you can actually feel it. And you go, oh, yeah, that's easy. But then you work up a little bit, and let's say
mm,
they need healing from, um, it could be like narcissistic abuse, or it could be from asthma, like some things that are really big and feel insurmountable. And then you say, okay, well, how do I feel receiving that healing for that? And just watch your whole nervous system go, nope, 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 nope.
mhm,
And that's what we want to start to understand, is that we actually are creating everything, as you know, in our mind. We are creating it in our mind. And once it's a felt experience, this is our frequency. From a quantum physics point of view, we live in a quantum reality. So this feeling isn't just something that's happening in our head, it's our entire aura. This is what we are taking out into the world. And it's what we are telling the quantum what we can receive. So even as simple as be in stillness, meditation is receivership. There's so many people out there doing meditation at the moment, which is just creation meditation. It's this way that to manifest your desires. Even I love Dr. Joe. Don't get me wrong. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. Love his work, but so much of that is creation. Yes, he sets it up. There's a lot of receivership in his meditation, but can you actually sit still and do nothing? Can you sit, like I do Vedic meditation, and when I'm on holiday, it's so easy to sit there and just be still and quiet and receive. But when I'm working, it's like look, I'm in this still space. I may as well just drop in this thing that I want to create. So it's about building that muscle of being still, and it is bringing in things like, I use the heart coherence meditation always before any of my meditations. I always make sure that my out breath is longer than my in breath, so I'm putting myself into my parasympathetic nervous system. So I'm using all the tools that people like you are teaching, because it's
mhm.
so important. We now know how we can do that in a quick, easy, and effective way. And we also must learn to be still and receive. And I think that's the thing that we are finding the hardest right now.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. So many of us don't have safety and stillness, safety and receiving patterned together in our nervous
So
system, right?
true.
That's not firing together. And
Mm.
so in my practice, in my work, we talk about kitten steps because
I
baby
love it.
steps are way too big. So take a newborn tiny kitten step
Yeah.
and yeah, practice receiving, for us in emotional outsourcing, receiving care, support, love from people is likely to be the most scary, dangerous seeming thing. And so working with the universe, working with nature, working with something ineffable, probably would be a lot less scary than, I
Mm.
don't know, your
I think
spouse.
yeah, 100%, 100%, and you think about,
Yeah,
like, I love nature because it needs nothing from you, you
right.
know? Like, I am a person that grew up with a narcissistic mother, and, I remember learning as I was learning marketing many years ago for my business, learning about one of the principles of, marketing is, like, reciprocity. And as humans, we are coded. If you give me something, I will give you something in return. And I'm actually a person that I don't take. Like, I never used to take anything from anyone because I
Mhm.
was so afraid of what people wanted in return. So, and from a human design perspective, I'm a line five. Like, I am the problem solver. I'm the person that everyone comes to solve their problems. And that could be, you know, something that needs physically fixing, or that could be mental health, or that could be whatever it is. Like, I am the problem solver, and in my shadow I can be the savior. Like, I have to have really good boundaries around
Mm.
that. So I think you're absolutely right. Like, we don't have it, and especially for women, because we are told it's our obligation, And when my children were little, I found that so hard. I didn't have support. My husband was away a lot of the time. I was thick in depression and panic disorder, and I didn't want to take anything from anyone because I was like, I can't give any more. That's how I saw
Mm.
it. And I,
Yeah.
I think this is the thing where what our human design really helps us to do and really helps us to understand is that we do have a very specific way that we operate. And what I hear all the time, it's not like if I share someone's human design with them, I never hear, oh, that's a surprise. What I hear is, oh my God, thank you so much. You just gave me permission to be me. And if you think about, I was talking to someone the other day about this. I'm a manifesting generator. I have a lot of energy. I actually put myself under so much pressure to do everything myself that I put myself into early menopause. I went through menopause about a decade earlier than I probably needed to, um, because I wouldn't ask for help. So, my superpower of having all of this energy, I had learned to use against myself. Now, there are a bunch of people on the planet that they don't even have that energy in the first place. So here they are trying to cane themselves to be a mother, to heal themselves, to learn something new, to support their husband, and they can't get out of bed. And our society is like, well, there's something wrong with you. No, there's something. This is exactly the way they're meant to respond. They're not designed. Manifestors, projectors, and reflectors are not designed to be able to just power through. It's only the generators and manifesting generators. And in all cases, it's not correct. We should not be powering through. We should not be forcing. We have to understand how our energy works and learn to live from that place instead of this conditioned self.
Emma, that is such a potent, powerful reminder that I don't think a single human on this planet, but especially a single woman, doesn't need on a permanent loop. Maybe we can make like a bonus that's just you saying that
Yeah.
1,000 times over. T- Take a rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be right. Remind yourself of the power of allowing yourself to be versus hustling and pushing and going.
Yeah. And just on that, the thing that I want to say as well is that women, as women, we are coded to be in community, and we've been conditioned out of it. We've been conditioned to think that we can have it all. Yes, we can have it all. But the way that women are designed at a DNA level is all about community. we are not designed to have it all by ourselves. We are designed to
Yeah.
have it all together. And I think that
Yeah.
this is the thing that really is starting to change now. You know, I realized that a lot of my life, a lot of my trauma caused me to be very, I used to call myself 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I didn't need anyone. I didn't need anything. I could do it all myself. And the woman that sits before you today is the polar opposite. I mean, I know I still have all the confidence in myself. I can handle anything that comes my way. But as I've gone through this really challenging time separating from my husband, because of course it was nothing about him and everything about my narcissistic mother, um, as I've been healing my childhood wounds, I am surrounded by a group of women who support me in every way. They support me with my children. They support me with my business. They support me with my emotional healing. They support me with my trauma healing. And this is the way that we're actually designed to be. Human design actually shows us, as I said, my design, very powerful. I'm a manifesting generator, meaning that I'm here to demonstrate human potential. I can be a lot, but in my design, I'm what you call a split definition. So what that means is it's actually like the universe or my soul giggling a bit like, you actually need other people to bring all your energy together. So it gives me all this power. And at the same time, I'm designed at my most core level to need other people to help my energy flow. And I think this is one of the things that's so beautiful about human design is we can see our power and we can see how we're designed to be supported.
Yes. Beautiful. How cool to see that we can look at these charts, right? And this system to give us the specific coding, right?
Mhm.
Beyond the fact that yes, all humans, we all need each other. We all need community, but how specifically do you need to receive it?
Mm.
That's really interesting and a pretty cool thing to add into one's understanding of oneself. No.
Yeah, oh, I love it. Well, and for me, it's so specific. Like, you want to know specifics? So for me, the things that bring the areas of definition together, and for those that don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Is we have what we call bridge gates, and again, don't worry about it. But my two bridge gates, so I have the 59 and the 35. My parents both had the 35. And the 35 is like all about the ultimate human experience. It is this energy that is a very wise, experienced human. In its shadow, it's like hunger, like it has to have more. But in its higher states, it's just this wise person that's kind of been everywhere and had these experiences. And then the 59 is the gate of intimacy. Now, the gate of intimacy is all about building trust, taking time to build trust and intimacy so that you can make like a lifelong bond, and to create that intimacy. Now, what is fascinating, because these are my two bridge gates, these are the two areas that I've had, you know, my shadow, like I've tried. So when I say tried, from the mind, from the ego, to fill these gaps in my life. Once human design came along, I'm like, oh, I'm not meant to fill those gaps. I'm not meant to fill those gaps. I'm actually meant to understand what those energies are. And then as I draw people toward me that have those gates, I can identify the higher expression or the shadow expression. So one of the things that my friends all have, all of them have my bridge gates. And what that means is that they're helping me understand what intimacy really looks like. And one of my girlfriends, we have this conversation about intimacy over and over and over again. And it's gone from, like intimacy is this thing where when you find that right person and you're with your partner and it's all about the deepest, most incredible, intimate sex, and like nothing goes deeper than that. And like 18 months later, we're like, holy shit, we can have that level of intimacy anywhere, anytime with any human, as long as I can go there and they can go there. So this person has helped me really change what my belief system, my identity had around intimacy, because she has this energy, and we've had this whole journey, both of us, of really discovering as we separate from our partners, as we redefine what intimacy is. So my design is my greatest teacher, because it's really helping me to experiment with the areas that are not innately mine, and to really discover, okay, well, what is true for me, or what do I want to be true for me, because it's not something that's innate within me. Does that make sense?
I think so. I
Mm.
think so. Yeah, it helps you. Let's see if I'm summarizing it. It's sort of, I think of Mr. Rogers, like always look for the helpers, and it helps you to know who your helpers are. Is that
100%.
a fair? Okay.
100%. Yep.
I don't mean to
No,
oversimplify this
please always
brilliant
oversimplify.
So, I'm sure everyone listening is so excited to learn more about first about human design. Where would you recommend they start? And then, of course, where to find you?
Yeah, sure. So, I actually have a book. I've written a book, Human Design Made Simple, and it is already out in Australia, the UK, Europe, but it's launching. We're in pre-sale now in the US in May, so that's probably the best place to start. But if you're someone who wants it right now, what I would recommend is go to my website. On my website, you can get your chart, your human design chart. You get it for free. Um, and even if you've got your chart before, I recommend that you go to my site because what we actually do is once you put your details in and you get your chart, we will then send you, um, excuse me, not all at once, but we will send you over time links to the correct podcast episodes of my podcast, the Human Design Podcast, so that you can look at very specific areas of your design. Because when I was in my deepest, darkest night of the soul, I know that it was really challenging for me because I had no money. I didn't have the resources that I needed to heal myself. So we've actually created everything so people can go in, get their chart, get all the information from the podcast. And then if you want to do more, then we have plenty of really accessible, easy ways that you can work with us. But my mission and my team's mission is to take human design mainstream. So I wanted to get it to as many people as we possibly can so it can benefit as many lives in this freaking crazy time that we're living in.
I'm really grateful for that. It's accessibility is such a key part of truly being of service in this world and building that interdependent future that I know you
Right.
want. We share that. So
Mm. It's so
thank you.
funny, isn't it? You're so welcome because I think in the beginning I might have pissed people off, if I'm really honest, because I gave a lot of information away for free. But
Oh,
I think that the irony of all of this is that we now live in a time that, if you have Chat GPT, then you can look up all of this information. You know what I mean? Like information is not, um, we are not gatekeepers of information. We are actually just conduits of that information. And I think it's so important. And again, human design talks a lot to the changes that are happening on the planet, especially from 2027. But we really have to understand that we don't own any of this. The whole point is that we are here to raise consciousness, to, what does that mean? To experience more love, less fear, to actually help people become conscious of who they are and why they're here, become conscious that they have the power, even though they're told every day that they're powerless. It's so, so, so important that we have this information. And it really is my opinion that once you start to experiment with your human design and you start to see the results you get in your life, that it's going to make a global effect. It's going to have this huge effect globally because if we love, trust, and accept ourselves, then we can only love, trust, and accept others.
couldn't have said it better myself. Someone put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emma.
So
I'm
welcome.
super grateful for your work. Thank you for coming on the show. Any last tidbit you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Well, the one thing that I would love to say to them is for all of you out there that no matter how dark life is, you can feel that spark inside of you. That spark inside of you that is your greatness. That there's something more, that you are more, that there is more that wants to be birthed from you. Believe it. Please believe it. Do not let it die because it is the truth. That is your heart. That is your soul. And in my opinion, human design is a way that you can access that in the most direct, path. So give it a shot. See if it works for you.
Thanks again, Emma.
Thank you.
My love, there was so much in there. This human design thing is really, really fascinating. And above all, it's just another tool for ever deepening our authenticity, our connection to self, our healing, so we can be part of healing the world, right? So we can go out into the world with regulation, with grounding, and can be a force for good in this world. What else is there, right? Right. So, thanks for listening. I hope you found that as fascinating as I did. Let's do what we do. Gentle hand on your heart should you feel so moved. And remember, you are safe. You are held. You are loved. And when one of us heals, we help heal the world. Be well, my beauty. Talk to you soon. Ciao.